doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hello, welcome to the People's Weekly. What's up, Glenn? Me and Glenn are here. I'm bringing the music down.
Okay.
Yeah, we're having technical difficulties, so as usual, we're about 10 minutes late.
That's not late. That's on time.
Yeah, for us it is.
Exactly.
So yeah, let's get the sponsors out of the way real quick.
Today's sponsor from Downpour, Edmonton, Canada, is Kosher Kush.
Nice. Mine is Wax is still Pink Mimosa, and the weed is, oh my god, which one did I have? Oh, I had Platinum Bubba.
No, yeah.
Working with the same things throughout the week. Oh man, a lot of stuff going on.
Well, you know, that corporate press, they need bullshit to push, so, you know.
Yeah.
All part of the ecosystem of free revenue for some.
Yep. So anyway, yeah, let's we were just talking before the show started about those two wacky gun-toting, mansion-living you know what I'm talking
lawyers.
about? The guy and his wife that were lawyers, and they were in front of their little mini mansion. He had like a AR-15 and she had some little, I don't know what it was, a 380 or a 25 or something. And they were holding them like they've never held a gun before in their lives.
Yeah, that was unreal. It's like they're pointing the guns at each other. But I mean, this just tips me off that they were both out there with the safeties on. You know, that's why they didn't really seem to care or even think about where they just pointed the gun after. Because, you know, sometimes people who don't handle firearms, they'll be, you know, like kind of nervous with it, and then they'll point it in a way they shouldn't. And then as soon as they move again, then they realize what they just did. You know, that's what I notice a lot with people who are don't have any experience with firearms. They'll fuck up with how they hold it or where they aim it, and then they'll figure it out after they move. They weren't even doing that, so I'm convinced they had the safeties on anyway. Like, they didn't say red means ready. Like, forget it.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw some tweets saying that the guy didn't have the safety on, but I didn't zoom in or see what they were looking at to justify that, so it might just be somebody saying that. It was just ridiculous. I thought it was pretty hilarious, though. Somebody had posted, "This looks like the couple that gives you a mission in Grand Theft Auto."
Yeah, there's been some good memes, for sure.
And the pink shirt and the gun, they just look like one of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but, you know...
go ahead, what?
Well, I mean, it's just the whole thing is weird, you know? Okay, so, like, I'm not too familiar with this thing about gated communities, but I mean, don't they like have somebody at the gates? Like, don't these people pay for some sort of rent-a-cops or something? Like, how did these protesters just open a gate and walk through this neighborhood I don't get it. Like,
I'm just wondering. They broke the gate, I guess, and went in because that's where the mayor lived. That just doxed a bunch of people. That's why they were mad.
Okay, that makes sense to me now.
Yeah, I mean, they were going to the mayor's house. They weren't messing with them people. But the whole thing is, you heard about the mayor. She doxed a whole bunch of protesters.
Yep.
In St. Louis, where they're known to murder activists. They find them shot up and burning cars and all kinds of other stuff. There's so many people from the Ferguson uprising that are gone now in really mysterious, shady ways.
Yep. And none of them ever get solved.
Yeah, pretty mysterious. What's up? The Union Radio's in here. So yeah, the whole thing is, it's just bizarre. That mayor doxed these people, like, you know, go kill these people, basically. That's why I looked at it. Why else would you do that?
Well, not only is it just a complete joke that you would use your position to do that, but it just blows my mind that in a metro place like St. Louis, like all the police in St. Louis and around St. Louis haven't been involved in enough shit in the last 3-4 years. Now we got the fucking mayor basically acting like, you know, the sheriff of Nottingham or some kind of shit. It's unbelievable.
Nottingham. No, I mean, yeah, it's like I've seen that before down south in Louisiana, where protesters are marching down the street, and there's these white racists sitting in front of their houses with shotguns and different kind of weapons and pistols, just watching every move everybody makes. Like, some of those situations, I felt like if somebody went on the grass, they might have cut a bullet or something. They weren't happy with a whole bunch of black cats going through their neighborhoods in some of them small towns in Louisiana.
Oh, I get that. I mean, yeah, that's when you're in Redneckville. Yeah, it's we don't take kindly to people your types round here.
But it was a peaceful protest. Nobody was starting anything, but they were out there with their guns. And this was like in 2000. Yeah, but when was that? Like, I don't know, like 2007 maybe?
But those people don't belong here. We're scared. We don't know who they are. We haven't screwed their cousin. Who are these people?
Yeah, it's pretty segregated out there, too.
Oh, yeah. Big time. I mean, it's like that up here, too. You get out of the cities and you get out into the fucking prairies. You know, people talk about how rural Canadians get ripped off by snake oil salesmen. And it's because the way they think. And you could have the cure for cancer. But the first thing they want to know is, where are you from? Who do you know? That's what's important to these people. Not the product or not the idea or anything else. It's if I'm not comfortable in some second or third degree, then it doesn't matter what you have to sell or say or anything else. If you're not somehow related to this part of the world, we don't care. That's basically it. So, you know, all it takes is somebody who grew up in a town 50 miles away to just either head west or head east and start stopping in every town and ripping everybody off and keep going because they know the lay of the land, right?
Yeah, when people in the United States find a charlatan snake oil salesman or woman kind of thing, they just keep electing them over and over again to stay in office. I don't get that. But that's what we do here, I guess.
There is a definite pattern for that sort of behavior, yes, there is. You know, I think that might be a whole nother topic, but hey, you know.
Yeah.
But as far as the other thing about this Mr. and Mrs. Attorney with the weapons, I mean, you know, they're not exactly recluses either. They've posted pictures of themselves and they're inside of their house, and my God,
they're attorneys. They're like ambulance chasing attorneys, aren't they?
Yeah, they're injury lawyers.
They call them ambulance chasers out here.
Yeah, I know. I'm just using their term. Have you seen the pictures of the inside of their house?
No, I don't think so.
It's just as ridiculously gaudy as Trump's place in New York. It's just like who do you think you are, Louis the 14th? Like, why do people do this? I just don't understand how it enhances your life to get up in the morning and open the double doors to your bedroom into this foyer that looks like it came out of Amadeus. Like, what's your fucking point?
I think that's a little bit one-sided, Glenn, because, you know, if you haven't actually sat down on a diamond-encrusted gold toilet, then you don't know how important it is to have that feeling every day.
It's just taking a shit, man.
Yeah,
it's not that big a deal.
Gold toilets are a necessity.
Unbelievable, man.
Oh man, yeah. It's just these people are some people are like, oh, they were just terrified. They didn't know what to do. What were they terrified of? Did anybody there have a weapon? No.
Poor people.
They were the ones that were terrifying. I mean, you know, two drugged out, crazy people walking out with guns on their lawn, aiming them every which way, screaming. Like, what? That seems terrifying more than some people with picket signs walking down your street.
But see, that's just it. If it would have been a crowd of lawyers, they probably would have brought out hors d'oeuvres. It's poor people. That's what scared them. The underclass is here. We have a gate. What the fuck? You know?
I guess if they look at Facebook and all these like really right-wing kind of fringe websites, they'll see that there's buses of anti-fascists traveling around from city, state to state, just beating up a whole bunch of white people, basically. That's kind of what they say all the time. I know we brought it up a week or two ago, but it's still happening. So I don't know. What?
This is the Soros army, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Trump is tweeting out white power videos. He tweeted out that old man screaming white power, white power, white power to the protesters, and then talked about what great people these are. Then when it came to it, when someone asked him about it, they're like, oh, he didn't listen to it or see it. He just retweeted it blindly because he's an idiot. That was like literally what they said.
Well, when that's the best defense you have, that should tell you something.
It's like the intel. It's like the intel with the Russia was paying militants to kill American soldiers, like putting bounty on American soldiers supposedly. And Trump's like, yeah, they gave us the report, but it was in writing, so how did I see it? That's basically what he said. Words? I don't do words.
Yeah, I'm too tremendous for words. He claims
incompetence for everything.
Well, again, that's how thin the deck is these days. It's just, yeah, I'm a fucking idiot. You bet. America. Fuck yeah. But, you know, the whole thing about that is, and again, this is, you know, basically thanks to the outstanding corporate media in the U.S. So apparently a unit that is basically, you know, dirty motherfucker unit in the Russian military was doing this. So you mean they were doing exactly what the CIA's been doing in Nicaragua since the 1980s? In El Salvador?
Exactly.
In Guatemala? In Venezuela? In Colombia? Like, fuck off. You know? They are in uniform. You better believe people want to kill them. So, what do these people think war is? War and money kind of go together.
Yeah, if there's no profit, they wouldn't have any wars. For what?
Exactly. So, I mean, and think about it. Say you're in Afghanistan, and the war there basically started in 1979. This is 2020. So there are more than one generation that have only known war. And do you think the economy's booming? No, it's not. So everybody has a fucking gun because the whole country's been at war for 4 decades straight. And somebody wants to give you cash to pick off somebody who's easily identifiable because
and
they're in a uniform. Yeah, and they're in a uniform and they're them. So do you think you're going to have any takers? Like, give me a break, man. It's so hypocritical. It's ridiculous. But America, fuck yeah.
Man. Yeah, that's something we were talking about too earlier. How it's the same here. It's getting bad. It's not the same like the war-torn BS, but it's getting bad here because nobody has money. They're not giving anybody any stimuluses.
Yeah.
They're cutting off the bonus on unemployment that they're giving people. They're what is it? 40-something%. I don't know. There's a lot of people unemployed. It's 30 or 40%. And then there's a 50 or 60% of people who were affected in some kind of way financially over the outbreak so far, or the pandemic. It's like the people are doing bad. The homelessness population is going to rise. I mean, there's people that have unemployment saying they're making more than they ever made at work. That's got to tell you something right there.
Yeah.
Like, these companies are just treating people like garbage, man. And you have these other people, like the rich people, on the mainstream media people. Well, that's why we got to stop giving them unemployment like this. Or no. That's why you need to pay them more and give them benefits when they work. You have CEOs making billions of dollars and people being poor.
Well, I just don't understand why more people don't just connect the dots. So the people who already have nothing to worry about are the ones who are saying, we want our slaves back because our slaves make us money. And we can afford to take whatever precautions we deem necessary with the pandemic. But those slaves, they should get back to work. And what do you mean they're making more money by not working? Well, then cut that shit out. Make it so they have to go back to work for poverty wages. Because that's the way it was before. And that's the way we want it to stay. So what's the holdup? I mean, this is the thing I'm noticing in the U.S. In Canada, of course, there are a certain percentage of the population, generally the rich percentage, who want things to return to normal as quickly as possible. But they're not going out of their way to get a spotlight put on them about how they're bitching and complaining that the poors aren't making them rich currently. But in the U.S., they're all doing it. There's more of it all the time.
I came up with a mini solution, if you would like to hear it, to the U.S.'s problem. What it is like this. There's 60 million people that support Trump, and they hate socialism more than anything in the world. And these 60 million people, most of them probably got $1,200. So if you go 60 million times 1,200, you get about $72 billion. They should just kick down to the rest of us who don't mind a little socialism if it gets us what we need to buy and pays rent and bills and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's how they need to do it, because I think they just sent the money right back because they hate it so much. No self-respecting Trump MAGA supporter would ever take $1,200 from a government.
Yeah, right.
That would make them a hypocrite.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, and we know they're not. They're patriots, not hypocrites. So
Yeah,
all that
just
money
like
that they sent back and said they don't want their socialist handouts, they should give to the other people that don't mind having some money. Just a thought.
Yeah, just like Ayn Rand. Yeah, same thing.
I mean, I'm not even a socialist, and I don't mind free money any way you look at it. If I got to live in a capitalist society and you can't work and everything's shut down, then give us some of our tax money back. It's that simple.
Well, quit giving it to people who don't fucking need it, number one.
You know, since the pandemic started and everything shut down, the richest of the rich, the top 2 or 3%, made a combined $500 billion profit so far.
On what?
On government handouts. That socialism they hate so much. The welfare they give to corporations that they talk so bad about poor people on welfare, but they exist on welfare that we're paying for. Those leeches are using our money to make billions. That's what's happening.
Yes,
zero
indeed.
interest loans, dude. A zero interest loan. The people don't get zero interest loans, but billion-dollar corporations get zero interest loans. It's insane.
See, this is why this situation, we never had this many factors coming together at the same time either. I mean, we have this pandemic, which is looking like the influenza outbreak of a century ago. And it looks like we ain't learned anything. So, buckle in for that. And then we have an economy that is basically has to run all the time or it dies. It drops dead. That's pretty much it. And then money is cheaper than it's been basically ever. And they're just making it cheaper and cheaper by printing mountains of it. And it's just like South Park with the investment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's gone. and that's it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I don't understand how it can just keep going. I mean, like everybody talks about how Canadians are so polite and mellow, and there's the good memes about, Canadian protesters like laying down a sign or bending over and turning a garbage can on its side, making sure nothing fills out. Like, that's Canadian. That's Canadian protest on memes.
Making a fire pit before starting a fire.
But I'll tell you what, if the Canadian government was to, let's keep it relative to, the size of Canada compared to the U.S., but if Trudeau just gave $50 billion to the Toronto Stock Exchange, things would not just go on. There would be consequences for that here.
Do you remember there was one time Bush went to Canada? Little Bush, George W. Bush. And they had huge protests, man. And these Canadians were fighting with the cops on the line. And one of them snatched the cop's helmet. Did you see that?
I remember that.
He stomped the cop in the face a few times, took his helmet, lifted it up. Everybody was cheering. I was like, they're getting down out there. Yeah, it comes to a point where I think the Canadians have a breaking point when they turn like from just Canadian to full Canadian. I don't know, but yeah, those were pretty impressive. At least what I saw from here on the news.
Well, of course it was news because, yeah, we broke from our standard. But the point is, even up here, they know they can only go so far. But it seems like in the U.S., there is no line anymore. It's just nothing happens. Now, I don't know if that's because there's just so much other shit going on, which is a definite possibility. But, you know, it just blows my mind. All this trillions of dollars that have been given away to corporations and hedge funds and individuals and Wall Street, and nothing's gotten any better, but all that money's gone. And, you know, nothing changes. But I mean, you know, in a lot of conversations I have that are not public on the internet, there's a lot of people I know, and I always say to them, like, I just don't understand how shit has not really broken loose yet. I don't get it. You know? Like, there should be some more newsworthy deaths than I'm seeing. It surprises me that we're not.
I have a question for everybody. This is totally off that subject, but it just popped in my head. What happened with the Starbucks tampon and the cops coffee? I haven't heard anything else about that. It was like, we're investigating, and then it went silent. Do you think maybe he lied like all the other ones?
Well, of course they did.
Okay, because they haven't brought it up, and I was just really wondering. Our friend Bill Mulligan was the one that reported it. He's a racist Fox 11 local LA guy. He's the one I ran out of the protest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a real jerk face. If I see him again, he won't be able to go live again.
Well, this is the
Dude,
plus.
He called me a clown on Twitter. This guy who wears all this makeup all on his face, caked on, called me a clown. Figure that one out.
Yeah, well, he's on Fox. That's pretty much says it all.
He didn't go live, did he? I hope he didn't get paid if he didn't go live. That's kind of what I was hoping, but who knows?
But I mean,
he's probably under contract and on a salary though. But who cares? He didn't go live.
I mean, there you go. I mean, right now with everything else that's happening, Fox is making money. You better fucking believe it. Good money. You know? And for what? For bullshit. For idle agitation. For clickbait. For lying. They're getting paid.
Man, I just want to know what that investigation showed on the Starbucks tampon coffee scandal. They're not talking about that, and that makes me believe it was just another lie.
Well, this is the advantage of the environment with the 15-minute news cycle as well, because then you can just throw that shit out there, get a fucking ton of clicks, and then what's next? Forget about it. Just drop it completely. It's sad.
Yeah, that's crazy, because like I've been really wondering about that. If anybody on here knows, like, leave something in the comments or tweet it at us or something, because I've been wondering about that, and I've looked and I haven't seen anything about it, which makes it even more suspicious. I've only seen the original reports up to they're doing the investigation.
Well, I believe they investigated and they determined that it was too stupid of a lie, so they just never hear it again.
Yeah, I don't know, but it just seemed like a big corporation like Starbucks would want its name cleared. Like they would have said, "Oh, we didn't do anything to these cops' coffee." But nothing. It's just odd to me.
Well, you know, here's something that's completely off topic, but I mean, I think this shows you that even corporate entities, big ones, are making decisions with their money that show even they think what's happening in the U.S. with the pandemic is just retarded. Now, the National Hockey League wants to finish their season. They're talking about playing hockey in July and August, which is obscene as far as I'm concerned. Like, fuck off, man. You know, we got 2 or 3 months where it's nice. We don't want hockey then, okay? But, you know, they want to get their money out of the year. Their insurance is going to just absolutely quadruple after this. And the U.S. television deals, they want some return for their money too. So they're talking about going straight to some sort of playoffs, and all the games are going to be in what they're calling hub cities. So there will be one city that has like 10 teams in it. And all the games will be played. And all the games will be played at the same arena, and they say they're going to quarantine off hotels and all this shit. So not only are Canadians saying, oh, wait a minute, they're all coming from the States. We know what's happening down there. Why should we let them in? But with the numbers from the quote-unquote reopening happening everywhere in the U.S., and in the last week, more and more pro athletes once again testing positive for COVID, now the National Hockey League is looking at making Canadian cities the hub cities. And that makes absolutely no sense from the U.S. TV owners, because they don't want to send people up here, and they don't want to, you know, when you watch any kind of sporting event, they always have the back shot of something in that city. Well, I don't think NBC or Comcast wants to be sending a crew around a Canadian city of 1 million for a month to find shit to put on the air. You know what I'm saying? There's no market. There's no market at all with the games being in Canadian cities as far as the U.S. televisors are concerned. But the numbers are so out of hand in the U.S. If they're ever going to play hockey again this season, the NHL is saying, I think we have to go to Canada. So that's a good indication of just how poorly the pandemic's being handled in the U.S. I don't know how much worse it can get, because I ain't there, but man, it sure looks bad from up here.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I bet it's pretty close to how it looks from up there in reality. It's just dumb stuff, man. I don't get it. They don't take care of their own people here. I mean, that should be obvious with our homeless population and people that are mentally ill out on the street and can't get help. They don't take care of the people here at all. People die and go broke because they can't get health care. Then I hear you guys talking about, oh, I just went to the doctor, I just went to the dentist, I just did this, I just paid this, like a little bit of nothing. I'm like, wow. And then you ask people here, they're like, well, Canadians have to wait in like these mile-long lines just to get to the doctor and this and that, but nobody from there says that.
No, those are lies. Well, I mean, what's happening right now in the part of Canada I live in, if you don't live in Edmonton or Calgary, that's going to be more of a reality very soon, because despite this being a pandemic, the provincial government has taken a big axe to healthcare, and they've ripped up their contract with doctors, and they've laid off, or they've ripped up the contracts with radiologists, they're basically, they want to privatize everything.
Yeah, I was just going to say they're tearing it apart so they could say, look, it's dysfunctional. We need to privatize it to make it work.
But in Canada, we have something called the Canada Health Transfers, and that's under the Canada Health Act. And that basically says there has to be a baseline level of medical service in every part of the country. There are national minimums for patient care, for standards. And if a part of the country can't afford it, then the federal government will give them cash to bring them up, you know? And and one of the rules you cannot break is that healthcare in Canada is public. Single payer is the correct way to describe it to Americans. It's a single payer universal system. And if you start to privatize in your province, we're not going to give you the money. So, you know, with people who are logical, that's pretty obvious. So you're going to privatize and get less money to pay the private people you bring in. So who pays more? Well, if people need it, it's the citizens who pay more because the government made the decision. You know, that's the direction they're trying to go here. And it's going to get pretty ugly. I mean, these guys are going to get fucking voted out in 2 years, but they can do a lot of damage before that.
Yeah, 2 years is a long time.
Yep.
Especially
with a majority government. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They can do damage.
But then, you know, some days I think, you know, well, where's that temporary foreign worker working on janitorial that has COVID and goes in the cabinet room at the Alberta legislature and throw some Lugans all over the walls in there and let the cabinet, half of them, get COVID. And then we'll see what happens, you know? I'm not, you know, suggesting anything like that, but sometimes I think about it, you know, gee, what would change? Quite a bit. Quite a bit. You know? I mean, I've always said, the only thing that really scares the wealthy is the reality of their mortality. That's the only thing that scares them. Dying.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you know, they don't have to worry about rent or meds or food or anything else or utilities. They just worry about dying because then their little ego trip is over and they can't take it with them.
They depend on everybody else dying, though, because you just feed people information like propaganda, and then if stuff happens, people die off and slowly they forget about it as long as you don't keep reminding people. That's how it got to this thing. Here's a tangent. That's how it got to this whole thing where they got, in this country, they got statues of racist and genocidal maniacs all over the place. Because they keep telling you a false version of history.
Yep.
Over and over again about these people, and they tell you how great they were, and they never tell you any of the bad. There was this some Catholic priest, they tore down his statue, and the Catholic Church made a statement. I can't remember the name of the rapist, terrible priest that they had, but the basically the statement said, I'm paraphrasing here, people are just looking to the bad he did by abusing and killing indigenous people, but they don't look at the good he did by spreading you know, the religion to different parts of the world. Like, that was the brutality, you idiots.
Again, this is right out of South Park with Starvin' Marvin. It's the same goddamn thing, you know? It's the same shit.
You need to learn to speak English, the language of God.
Yeah. Oh, you want to eat? Here, read this book. Yeah, fuck off. Give me the food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, same shit, man. But I mean, yeah, what would you expect from the Catholic Church, you know?
Yeah,
20
it's
years
just-
ago,
go ahead.
20 years ago, they would have said that there's no proof that he ever did that. So at least now they'll admit. But, you know, still, it doesn't matter at the end of the day to them.
Yeah, I was reading every time I see that people post something about, you know, what the Columbus writings, it's, you know, his diary or whatever, or his memoirs or whatever it was. It's disgusting, man. He's talking about 50 people can subjugate the whole people, and they're talking about like gifting young children, you know, girls off to each other to rape, and it's just terrible stuff in there. And they're like, but look what the good he was an explorer, and he discovered so many things. Well, he didn't discover this place. You
Nope.
can't discover something that people are already at. So I don't know what he discovered, but
Well, let's not forget that the entire continent is named America for
Americo, Vespucci.
Yeah, exactly. It's not named Columbia.
Yeah.
So, you know, your whole story is bullshit right off the bat. But the other thing is, it's just this colonialism just never goes away, because that's all it is, man. That's all you can call it. It's colonialism. It's conquest. It's let's go somewhere we're not from and make it ours. That's all it is. And I don't know why more people can't see it that simply, because when it is that simple, it's like, hey, fuck off, you know? But I don't know, they wrap it up in these movie scripts, and apparently then it's something to strive for. I don't know. It's just really stupid and really old. And I just don't understand how much longer shit that happened as far as technology goes, shit that happened 5,000 years ago to us, not a few hundred, you know, consider how far we've come in a short time. None of that shit means anything anymore, except to people who have something to gain by clinging to it.
Yeah.
I mean, even up here, there's this thing about statues. You know, some have come down. The thing here is the ones that people want down that don't come down, some places they get vandalized so many times that they just say, okay, fuck it, take it down. You know, so again, I don't know, it just seems to be a different reaction when people make a statement. I mean, again, you know, I mean, like this thing in the States where they were taking down a statue and there was an undercover cop there, and he ends up pulling out his gun and popping off a few rounds right when the statue's coming down. Like, what the fuck is this? I mean,
Yeah,
it's just, there's no police department in Canada that would send somebody there and tell them, you know, well, if you have to use your weapon in a crowd of protesters, well, you know, whatever, do what you got to do. No, there's not a police force in Canada that would say that's okay. They would say, if you think you might have to, get the fuck out of there. Don't start nothing. You know? But I don't get it, man. In the States, it's just, I really feel sorry for Americans when their police all over the country, not just in big urban areas, all over the country, all show the same demented behavior. It's nuts.
Yeah, I mean that's They're training in their other kind of training, like their indoctrination.
Yeah.
Because, I always hear these people start off wanting to do good, wanting to help people. Well, at least a percentage of them do.
Yeah.
But they're dumb people. I mean, they don't pick smart people to be police. That's proven. So they're easily manipulated. They're easily brainwashed. They're easily mind screwed. You know what I mean? So that's what happens. And then they create these monsters. They do the same thing in the military. We talked about that like a month ago or something.
Well, yeah, this is an issue as well. There's so many guys who do their one tour with the Army, and then they get out. What are they going to do? Who's going to hire them right away? Police departments. So, and it's like, oh, hey, look, we used these over in fucking Iraq 10 years ago. Cool, you guys got them now. It's just becoming predictable, and a pattern is there. You put your veterans to work in a different uniform, you give them the same toys they're familiar with and they know how to use. But, land of the free, home of the brave.
Yeah, it's so much stupid stuff going on.
I mean, I can remember when I went to school, and like in high school, we actually talked about 20th century history more than just dates and names. And I remember one of the things that we were all taught is that one of the biggest problems with Germans when the Nazis came to power was all the violence on their own streets. And it was just basically believers, just believers. It's like, oh, kill all communists, and, just based on propaganda. And, you look at what happens in American towns and cities now, it's like, different haircuts, but, yeah. Kind of the same shit.
Yeah, these people are violent, and they have the government's approval. They have the president's approval. I mean, he instigates this a lot of times.
Yep. There was, where I am, in the province of Alberta, about a week ago now, a member of the government proposed a bill where I forget the cheesy bullshit name they gave to it, but they want to legalize people to become part of a militia. And they didn't have to take any training. They don't have to get any kind of pass any tests or wear a badge or nothing. It's just basically, well, I mean, this happened once before.
Just show up on your lawn in a pink shirt with the rifle.
Well, I mean, this happened in Germany as well, and it was called Sturmabteilung, the SA, and that basically directly translates to the Storm Division. And that was just all the whack jobs and idiots in the population who were willing to do and believe anything this government told them. So let's get them to use violence for us as well on the streets.
Yeah, I just think now there's no excuse. Back then they could say they only had propaganda from one source. Now you can pretty much Google anything and look at all these different opinions on one issue and come to your own educated, informed conclusion instead of just saying OANN or Fox or whatever or CNN or NSBC. You know what I'm talking about. All these different major, the Democrat ones, the Republican ones. No, you could look at everything and come to your own conclusion. You could read articles written by people. You could do all kinds of stuff and do the math on most things. But people don't do that. They say, this is my guy and this is my side, this is my side and this is my guy, and they're always right. What they tell me is always true. It's pretty weird, man.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we've talked about this before too. It doesn't matter if they believe the facts. It's how they feel. It's what they want to hear. It's what they keep seeking out to hear. It's their addiction. It's just that's the drug that they've picked. And no other drug will suffice. And you're right. I mean, there's a million sources out there. There's no reason to be misinformed.
It's cult-like hero worship.
Yeah. But it is a choice that these people make. And you said they can get articles and read them? What? Somebody's not going to tell me a complete story that I agree with? You're going to make me read and form my own opinion? No. We don't have time for that. I like this storyteller. What is your story today? That's the reality of too many people.
Yeah, I'm seeing people that are shocked about this weekend in Riverside, the Nazis with the Trump supporters. I'm like, they're always with the Trump supporters. The Trump supporters are always with them. They're the same people. No one seems to get this. Until now they got pictures again. I took pictures 2 years ago. I took video. Dudes on the microphone. We are the Nazis. We are the NSM holding up swastika flags. And all the Trump people saying the chants along with them, everything else. They don't care, dude. Even the ones who weren't white were chanting around with the Nazis. They were saying, give them a chance. They might have some good things to say. Dude's holding a swastika flag. How would he have anything good to say? Why would I want to listen to this guy? But there they are, right next to him, swearing they're not racist. Makes no sense to me, man. Like, people were literally shocked today. Like, Trump supporters don't kick it with Nazis. Those are two different. No, they're right there next to him. Look at the picture.
Yep.
Look at the video. Look at all that. They're actually threatening people along with the Nazis. You know who the police are protecting? The Trump supporters and the Nazis, like always. It used to be the Tea Party and the Nazis, or the Klan and the Nazis, but now it's MAGAs and Nazis. They have the same ideologies. One's just more extreme than the other.
Yep.
That's like me and more I don't know how to describe it. Maybe like a socialist or something. We have some of the same ideologies. We have a different ultimate outcome. You know what I mean? What we want.
Yep.
But we want the people taken care of, whatever. But yeah, they have the same kind of fascist ideologies on the other side over there, and they're together. But it's just a really bad look to hang out with people that got swastikas and all kinds of imagery that's just terrible.
Well, I mean, I agree with
if you're claiming to not be racist, that's my point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with the saying that there's 10 people sitting at a table. A Nazi sits down. Now you got 11 Nazis at the table.
Yeah. If they didn't make them leave.
Exactly. I mean, that's the way I feel about it. This has happened lots of times in my life. You're out somewhere, you're at whatever event, and somebody shows up that you want nothing to do with. I just get up and leave. Later. This person's here now, I'm out. It
depends. Sometimes it's better just to throw that person out because everybody else is normal. And when I say normal, I mean not racist.
Yeah, but I make my own decision for me, and everybody sees it. So, like we're talking about how ridiculous what passes as real information. This afternoon, the latest Barbie press secretary, or McEnany, she said that this president is the most informed person on planet Earth. Like, to even be able to say that publicly, we've come a long way.
With a straight face.
Yep, with a straight face. And with a gold cross around her neck. You know?
Well, that's their thing. You know, there's talk right now that they want, some Republicans want Trump to resign and let Pence run.
God.
That'll be a whole nother thing.
Yeah, Ayatollah Pence. Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen, but could you imagine Pence and Biden is kind of like the same guy, but one maybe isn't a rapist?
Well, I mean, we've talked about
Trump,
this before.
Yeah, Trump and Biden are the same guy. One's just louder and stupider.
I mean, we've talked about this before. I mean, it's always douche or turd sandwich, but, it's the system that makes it like that. Everybody says, where are the clean people in politics? They're not allowed in.
Yeah, they don't exist.
You know, they're not allowed in. So until people decide to do something about that, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. But like there's quite a few Republicans, prominent Republicans, that are talking about they're voting for Biden because Trump's just too crazy. And that white supremacy thing, a bunch of other stuff. Just his it comes down to they don't care how racist he is. They just care about his ratings going down, so they want to jump ship. And they know Biden will do the same thing Biden's always done terrible things. Well,
the thing is too, they're reading the fucking wind. They want to get reelected too.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. But then you have Pence comes into it. He's not senile. He might get Democratic votes from some of these, the corporate Democrats. Because Biden's just, I don't know.
Yeah, but Pence is a flat-out Christian supremacist. White Christian supremacist. Male white Christian supremacist.
Yeah, I mean you take
Pence
the religion and just add white, you got Biden.
Yeah,
they're both white supremacists. Pence just wants to have a theocracy on top of that.
Yeah, Pence won't be spending money on a space force. He'll be preparing for the rapture. No shit, man.
Yeah.
He's that far out there. So,
it's lose-lose either way. That's how you got to look at it. You're getting the same garbage packaged differently.
And in different portions.
Exactly. But it all leads to war and corruption and corporatism, people suffering, militarization of everything, privatization of everything.
I mean, I just can't believe the prevailing ideology in American politics now. Because even up here, with what's going on, the government up here is spent a shitload of money. And a very serious majority of it has gone to people. And it's gone. Of course, there's been some of that, because, of course, but, the government, the party that's leading the minority government up here, that's their brand. The brand is, yeah, we like money. We fucking really like money. But we understand that people have to get by. That's their brand. And they're not going to go from that brand. And then, the other brands are corporations get away with way too much shit. We could do a hell of a lot more for everybody. Let's do it. That's the NDP. And then there's the conservatives, who are basically the Republicans. So, I mean, there's some gaps. Like, for people to say that the liberals in Canada are like the Democrats in the U.S., no, they're not that maybe the Democrats of Jimmy Carter. That's it. Not this garbage now. But the Conservatives of Canada, oh yeah, they're the Republicans modern day, without a fucking doubt. So, it's, at least up here, the choices aren't both in the gutter so much like they are in the States. And it wasn't always that way, but you guys are always ahead of us on the shit curve, so.
Yeah. At least we're ahead of you in something. Yeah, I just,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
That's true. That's true. For the first time ever, the Canadian economy is rated better than the American economy.
There you go.
Oh, there's a lot of people really fapping over that up here.
I want to congratulate y'all. I really do. You finally made it.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations,
what's a booby
Canada.
prize? Yeah, what do we win?
Well, maybe you'll just give me citizenship and then you'll win my presence in your country one great day.
I wouldn't be surprised if we win more aluminum tariffs or we win more softwood disputes.
No, see, I was trying to give
about
you
it.
something good, but yeah, just go ahead. Oh, look. Another
And
Canadian
then-
say, come join us, Tim.
And then if you look at a place like New Zealand, which is, yes, very small. I think they have I don't even think they have 10 million people in the whole country. But it's a Western country. It's a Western government with Western religions. And, yeah, they had an advantage because they're so small and they're so fucking isolated out in the middle of the ocean anyway, that when COVID started, they just shut everything down. And everybody got full pay. Now, you can say that, oh, it's such a puny country. Well, that means that puny country has that puny number of taxpayers.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
So it's all relative. Everybody got paid. Everybody got taken care of. Everybody followed the fucking rules. And now they've reopened fully.
Yeah, but
New Zealand, New Zealand, yeah, but New Zealand's the first country. They've had live rugby with 40,000 people. And a lot of reports said it was just the best game ever because they all knew that they truly have defeated the virus in New Zealand. And all it took was quick action, cash on hand, and people who aren't stupid. So it can be done.
It can be done, but you have to realize they probably pay higher taxes than we do because they make more money than we do. At least in the United States. I'm not comparing them
Well,
to Canada
the
when
thing-
I say we.
Oh, I get that.
That's back
But
to what
the
we
thing
said
that
at the
people
beginning.
never talk about, but what nobody ever talks about is if you pay higher taxes, what do you get? This is the thing. How would you like free transit?
That's what I've
How
been
would you
saying.
like single payer health care? How would you like real unemployment insurance?
And just basic human rights. That's all you're really naming. Just things people
Yeah.
should have because they're alive and we don't want them to suffer. But no, not here. I was thinking about
and
America
what's the
first,
difference?
the Klan slogan. What?
No, I'm just thinking, and what is the tipping point to go from, say, Arkansas or Louisiana or Mississippi to go to New Zealand? How much of a difference in tax is that? Well, for the average person, it's probably between 10 and 15%. But for rich people, it's a whole lot more.
Okay, Arkansas just hit $10 minimum wage. So if you're working at like a fast food place, that's probably what you're making. and you're probably getting 20 hours or 10 hours a week or something. No benefits, no nothing. In New Zealand, that same worker to, skim off the top of every worker and get billions. Other countries aren't letting us treat their citizens like that, but the United States does, so we're going to do it there. That's just how it works. Unless they want to use slave labor in somewhere. I mean, there's your other option. Asian slave labor, that's horrifying too.
You mean like... Oh, you mean like the agriculture industry. The agriculture industry.
A lot of industries. But
your connection is starting to crap out pretty good, man.
Yeah, my internet was kind of really bad earlier. We mentioned at the beginning we had technical difficulties. So maybe we should wrap now because of that before it just shuts us down.
Yeah, because I'm only hearing like half your words now.
Oh, no. Okay, well, thank you everybody for listening. We're going to wrap it now. I'm going to just play a song, Glenn. Take them out to kill a couple. I was going to play Peter Tosh, You Can't Blame the Youth, because they talk about Christopher Columbus and how people say he was a very great man, but he was robbing, raping, thieving, and killing or whatever, right?
Yep.
So, yep. Thank you guys for listening. If you can hear me still, and we are out.
You can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. You can't blame the youth of today. You can't fool the youth. You're teaching youths to learn in school that cow jump over moon. You're teaching youths to learn in school that the dish run away with spoon. So you can't blame the youth when they don't learn. You can't fool the youth. You can't blame the youth of today. You can't fool the youth. You teach the youth about Christopher Columbus, and you said he was a very great man. You teach the youth about Marco Polo, and you said he was a very great man. You teach the youth about the pirate Hawkins, and you said he was a very great man. You teach the youth about the pirate Morgan, and you said he was a very great man. So you can't blame the youth of today. You can't fool the youth. You can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. All these great men were doing robbing, raping, kidnapping and killing. So-called great men were doing robbing, raping, kidnapping. So you can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. You can't blame the youth. None at all. You can't fool the youth. When every Christmas comes, you buy the youth a pretty toy gun. When every Christmas comes, you buy the youth a fancy toy gun. So you can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. You can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. Cause what was hidden from the wise and the prudent is now revealed to the babes and the sucklings. What was hidden from the wise and the prudent now revealed to the babes and the sucklings. The Lord called upon the